Yo, monkey, it's me,
Yo, monkey.
P. Diamond Dallas Page. And you, monkey, you're listening to the Potsy and Tino show. And that's not a bad thing, monkey. That's a good thing. Bang!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world. That's right, Tino Gray, Rob Potsy Pochak. Our theme song, as always, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. And
99.
Tino, want to go ahead and give StreamYard a little shout out. You know, we've upgraded the StreamYard stuff to their actual paid commitment one, because we wanted to have the ability to stream on multiple platforms. And tonight we're on the Potsy and Tino page on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we're on Twitch, on my Twitch page. Hey hey
No.
Joe McLean, good seeing you out there.
You are not wrong, Joe.
It's been a while since we had Sketchy LeJoe on. And by the way,
I'm glad he's back.
I'm dealing with COVID, so my fever finally broke today, so it's been at about 97.6 all day. So I finally feel like I'm on the mend, but I have the cough today. So if you hear me coughing, you know what's going on.
What was your fever before?
It went all the way up to 102.1.
Yeah, when I had it the highest, it went the first time the second time I got it, even the third time I didn't get the temperature. That first time I got it, my temperature went up to 103, and I couldn't break it for a week.
Well, we might as well go ahead and throw this up there. What's up with you? I already started with the the COVID. I went and had lunch with Shane and Shorty on like Thursday, and Friday morning I got a text message that said, "Hey, Shane just tested positive for COVID." And by Friday like midday, I already had like congestion, and the congestion ended up becoming just a faucet of a runny nose. Like I don't know if you had that, but I mean, like, the shit wouldn't stop, dude. It was bad. And I was like, I just started shoving tissues up my nose to stop the running. And I ended up giving myself a nosebleed. But interestingly enough, this feels and then, like I said, I had a fever. Like by Saturday morning, I had a fever of like 99.6, and it went all the way up to 102.1. It was like changing the dial on a radio. It seemed like I was taking Tylenol like every 4 to 6 hours, and that was a pretty good line. But I was taking Tylenol, like 500 milligram tablets, like every 4 to 6 hours, and for the first day, it did not break the fever at all. And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, I woke up in a pool of sweat. Now, the interesting thing is, I didn't get the cough until today, which sucks, because now I'll have the cough for a month. But I didn't get the cough until today. But I haven't had like the lack of energy. I haven't but I obviously, because I took a COVID test and it said I was positive, I was like, I'm not leaving the house. Like, I'm going to stay home for the next couple days, whatever. But this is exactly how I felt. Remember when I was really sick like 2 months ago? It's the exact same symptoms, but that wasn't COVID, and this is COVID. So I'm beginning to wonder if COVID actually is its own sickness now, or if it just brings back the symptoms of your last sickness.
I have no idea.
You know what I mean? But I think by having a CPAP, I didn't have the issue of having the sore throat. Everybody talks about having.
And I should have done something for your stuffy nose, because I know that, because mine has a dehumidifier, so it takes care of all that congestion and stuff. So sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll start, I'll cough a little bit, clear my throat, and stuff will come up because that dehumidifier is loosened whatever is up in there. And
so mine has like the water thing on it and everything. So
yeah.
But mine, I guess it's more to keep the nose and the passageway wet rather than, but even that, like I don't know about you, but every time I get sick, the one nostril that's open is like inflamed, and the one that's like shut is like, oh my God, I can't breathe out of that one. You know what I mean? And then randomly it just switches back and forth like you're changing lanes in a damn car. Like what
Yeah.
the heck is going on there? But so a couple other quick things. I don't want to take too long with my what's up with you. Um, but I should have my comp copies of Zor #1 tomorrow. So I will have those. If I'm feeling better, I will be making a trip out to Fayetteville to deliver them their copies so that we can set up a signing and everything there. I'll be setting up a signing probably because I think launch day is the 21st. So I'm going to be trying to set up a launch day signing at like Ultimate Comics in Raleigh. Um, so yeah, we've got that going on. And then last week we went to solicitation with the first issue of the new series of Immortal. So we're the third issue of Zor and the first issue of Immortal Ultraviolent should be out the same month. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then Tino, I just let you read something, and you can even tell everybody what it is, because obviously it's just like a pet project that I came up with last night and decided to write down on paper. Um, if you want to tell everybody what it was, because I let you read it, I know
I
that
mean,
normally like that type of stuff normally you tell me your real opinion on this kind of stuff.
so I can like
Yeah, yeah,
say it. What?
it's not anything important.
Oh, I know a lot of times they're like, no, no, and so I have to be careful what I say and how I.
Well, I don't own this, so it's just this was
Okay.
like me doing like fan service that I might actually send in to see if we can get a movie made out of it. So
So what it is, folks, it's a. I thought it was a like a reboot, but he corrected me. It's kind of like a continuation of A Nightmare on Elm Street. So pretty much he's picking up where Dream Child left off. So kind of the Dream Child put himself into was it the chamber, the cryonic sleep for like 35 years. And so in that 35 years, the town that Freddie was in was it Springville? Springdale was they were free of dreams because of a facility that they put on top of Nancy's old house to so they were trying to, and so what they were emitting signals, and what these signals were doing were stopping people from dreaming. But then of course you got teenagers who want to buck the system, so they want to try to crash this facility because they're thinking that they're testing animals in there. They don't really know what's going on. So you've got the different people. One of the people, I forget the one person I remember you says the hacker, and said the hacker went in and she saw something that said something like top secret or pretty much leave it alone. And so goes, no, I can crack it. But when she cracks it, she ends up open the chamber that the dream child is in. And then he's kind of like, what did you do? And when she does that, people start dreaming in the town again. And at first they're good dreams, but after that, Freddy's back. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. I thought, like I said, I originally thought it was a reboot, but the way that he put and the way he put it and the way that Rob wrote it, I'm like, dude, I'd watch this movie, because what it is like Freddy starts killing people again, and he turns one of the town's kids kind of to his side, and it's kind of like his mentee. They end up can I tell everything? I don't want to spoil the ending, but they end up killing the kid, and they end up killing Freddy. And Freddy somehow, which I was going to ask you, I don't know how understand how that worked. He transferred his powers to
so
the
so
kid, so the kid lives on. I thought it was great. I thought it was
so
great.
So a couple of things that a lot of people don't know at this point is that like Robert Englund feels like he's getting too old to play the characters, so you'd have to find a way to limit his use as Freddy in a movie. Um, and I think that like I was telling Tino, I think that if you were to write an actual like treatment that brought Robert Englund back, it would have to be a solid treatment. It would have to be a solid movie, and the character would have to be treated well. But he's probably only coming back for one more film, like as actual visual Freddy. Like I could see them using not even necessarily CGI, but using like a voice of Freddy in the kid's head after that. But and you know that was the first draft that I wrote of it, and since then I've already told Tino that like the kid that he turns into like his apprentice, if you will. And I know that it sounds like that Halloween Kills movie, but trust me, the way that it's done here actually makes a lot of sense, because it's like a kid, like a 20-something-year-old person, not even really a kid, but a 20-something-year-old person that moves into the town, and because they're not dreaming, they have no realization of how like the old Freddy murders were happening, and this kid is like
So,
a what?
so I was going to no, I was going to say, going back to you saying bringing Robert England back. So, do you think, and this is hypothetical, if he even agreed to do it? So, even if he did this last Freddy as Freddy himself, do you think if they went on with these movies, the Freddy voice in his mind, you think Robert England would still do those voiceovers as Freddy? He wouldn't actually physically be in the movie, but you think he'd do the voiceover?
I think if they paid him enough, he would. You know, I think that when you look at where Robert Englund is now in his career, he's making enough money off of doing just, you know, conventions and whatever, that he doesn't necessarily have to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's always said he enjoys playing the character, and he even does, like, he'll do voicemails and stuff like that as Freddy Krueger. So I don't know why he wouldn't take on the role of being Freddy Krueger if you don't have to see him as Freddy Krueger. Like, I could even see him showing up as Robert England in the kid's head, you know, like without the makeup, because then he doesn't even have to sit in the chair for the makeup, and he'd be like, you know, and nowadays with CGI you could de-age him so he could look like the young Freddy Krueger and actually sit there and, you know, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like, he can do the voice automatically. Like, that's just in him to do it. So I think that there are possibilities of things like that if it gets past the first line of defense, which is, you know, figuring out who to send it to and whatever. But the apprentice kid, the thing that I decided on that is that he's going to be a serial killer already. Like, so he was moving from town to town, and he goes into Springdale, and he's like, okay, something's weird going on here. Like, these people are kind of like docile and they don't dream and blah blah blah. And the place that he moves into, which is like a little shack of a, like, you know, trailer or house, you know, or whatever, like when he's got one of his soon to be victims, they like fall through the floor and they fall into like a secret room where like he literally finds all of like the police reports. He finds all of like the doctor, you know, because obviously all these kids went to like facilities where they was, you know, being given like drugs and stuff to not dream throughout the different movies. So it was like something where they have all this going on, and he finds all the paperwork on it. So even though he's not dreaming about it, he's like, oh shit, like this guy really knew how to kill people. Like this would be really cool to start doing stuff like this. So he starts copycatting some of the murders, and then all of a sudden, when the hacker chick like opens up the door and Freddy Krueger actually like comes into the people's dreams, he comes into that kid's dream, and that kid is like, yeah, man, I'm willing to do this. Like, teach me the ropes, show me what to do. Like, I'm just like you, dude. This is going to be awesome. And I can do it in the real world, and you can do it here. You know, so you get like that whole weird element of like one person's killing in the real world, one person's killing in you know, like in the dreams. And then they, like, the town, when they're trying to finally stop the kid, what they end up doing is they set him on fire, which, as we all know, is how Freddy Krueger got all the disfigurements and everything else in the boiler room. So you bring it back to the boiler room, you have everything happen there, and then as they're killing Freddy by either, you know, they always somehow brought him out of the dream. I don't even know how that really worked, but like they find a way to make him like to depower him, which is, you know, we're not afraid of you anymore. We're not afraid of you. We're more afraid of this other guy because he's in the real world. But as they're killing the kid ends up, you know, like Freddy pulls him into the dreamscape, and then Freddy passes on his powers to him. And when he does it, it kind of puts both his and the kid's consciousness together. So you really have two serial killers in one body at that point. So I thought that was you know, I like the whole thing came to me because Tino asked, and I'll really quickly, Tubi has like a 4-hour a 4-hour like chronological through all of the different movies, talking about like how hard it was to get certain ones made. And I mean, it's got retrospective interviews with Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, all the different, not people like Lawrence Fishburne, because obviously he became a much bigger star than a lot of these other people did. But, you know, like a lot of the stars, Lisa Wilcox and all these other people that were in these movies. Wes Craven was interviewed before he passed away in this, you know, so a bunch of people were interviewed for it. And they basically said that, you know, like after Time Warner bought New Line, it really, you know, like it really became hard to get these kinds of movies like pushed through. And that's why it, you know, like in the first 6 years that the franchise was out, they had 5 movies. And then all of a sudden, like number 6 was like 4 years later, and then New Nightmare was like 4 years after that, and then Freddy versus Jason was like 4 years after that. So I mean, it was like it was like all this craziness going on. And there hasn't been one in 21 years now, like besides the Michael Bay crappy 2013 remake attempt, which was really bad. Oh, maybe this guy who raped all these people wasn't really a bad guy. Are you fucking serious? But so this would totally get rid of the Michael Bay reboot. This would totally put it, you know, back into play all the stuff that Wes Craven did, all the stuff that Rennie Harlan did. You know, like all this stuff that just would, like, I thought, as I came up with the idea of him putting himself to sleep so that way he basically puts himself into a coma and puts himself into something where like his thoughts can't get out. I thought that was a way to like trap Freddy. So Freddy could still be antagonizing the kid or whatever, but like he traps him in that echo chamber with him, you know? So, and I said echo chamber, I didn't say cryogenically freezing.
Oh, yeah.
Because cryogenically freezing is what they did with Jason Voorhees for Jason X. And while I thought that, like, that's still one of my favorite 2 Friday the 13th, even though everybody hates it. Yeah, definitely not what I was looking for there. So Tino, go ahead. What's up with you, my friend?
Not a whole lot. So, I mean, like I said, this past weekend was crazy. So, Saturday, so I had the 2 classes that I facilitate, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Remember, my friend had his wedding, so I was up at 8. Did my classes, got done with the classes, had to go set that up. 'Cause remember, I was DJing and the band played, so I had to set all that up. The guys came, we set up, did a quick sound check. I came home, grabbed Nicole, ran back out to the wedding, sat at the wedding, and had to rush back to the university club so I could DJ the cocktail hour and the dinner. The band kicked off at 7:30. We played for probably a good hour, 20 hour and a half. We did a set break. While we were doing that set break, I DJ'd a dance break so everybody can get out on the floor and dance. You know, dance, just keep them dancing. I did that for about 45 minutes, then cut that and then fade it back into the band, man, and then stopped at 10:30. Got home probably, stopped at 10:30, had to load up, make sure got my guys paid. Got home probably about 11:30, and originally I was supposed to pick my father-in-law up from the airport at midnight. Thank gosh my brother-in-law was able to do that, because I was looking at a 1:30, 2 o'clock bedtime, but I was able to get into bed by 12:30. But and I come to realize too, the older you get, you can't bounce back from that. So Sunday I was like, my knees, my back, my hips hurt. So we didn't go to church. So we didn't go to church. So we kind of chilled at the house and recovered, and then watched the Super Bowl. So that was about it. Back to the grind today.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, Shabar called me yesterday, and I was sitting there talking to him for a little bit on the phone, talking about different wrestling stuff, and he's talking about getting into PC gaming and all this, and I was like, having COVID, like, and the fever yesterday was still in and out, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through the Super Bowl. Like, I really, and then the son of a bitch had to go through damn overtime, and not just a short overtime. It was like the entire 15 minutes of
15 minutes.
Like, I was thinking, hey, I might check out this show Tracker afterwards. And no,
I
no,
taped it. I taped it.
I've got Paramount Plus. But you want to know the funniest thing about my Super Bowl experience this year? Sitting there watching the Super Bowl, and randomly, right after the final touchdown gets scored, Paramount Plus puts up the "Are you still watching?" And I was like, "Motherfucker, you literally are like, thank goodness it happened after the touchdown." But but for real, you guys put on 12 hours of coverage and you're asking if I'm still watching? Now, granted, I didn't watch all day. I only watched the Super Bowl, but that was 5 hours. And yeah, it's sitting there going, "Are you still watching?" And I'm like, get the hell out of here. Like, ooh, like you programmed this.
Yeah.
So hopefully everybody likes our new ticker and everything. I figured out a little bit to do with StreamYard today. But Tino, like if that's what's been going on with you, we had a pretty full week of wrestling, even though I don't think I watched any of AEW again. I know that, so if you want to go ahead and start with AEW.
I think the biggest thing that I want to talk about at AEW is
Them trying to add interest to the Sting Darby versus the Young Bucks match at his final match.
I was hoping and praying that the Young Bucks had changed. But nope, nope. I got a feeling they're going to try to beat Sting in his final match and steal his thunder. I hope they don't. I hope they don't. I hope they let Sting win that match and go out on top, and they figure out another way to put those belts. If the Young Bucks are going to put them on themselves, do it the right way. Don't fuck up Sting's final match.
Well, no. Sting's old school, which means Sting knows do the favors on the way out the door. Like, he's going to do the favors because he's undefeated right now in AEW. So his final match, he's going to lose. Like, he's not leaving AEW undefeated. Like, they didn't let Jade Cargill leave undefeated. They made her lose twice.
I know. I was just kind of hoping it's different. It's Sting. I was kind of hoping they would, but you're probably right.
Well, this match, by the way, I'm beginning to think is just going to be a massive clusterfuck. And let me explain. When we go there on, what is it, March 3rd or March 4th, when we go to Greensboro, you already know that people like the entire Busted Open crew is going to be there. The which means Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, Mark Henry, Mickey James, Thunder Rosa works there already. But you're gonna have those 5 wrestlers that are actually going to be in attendance, probably sitting close to front row. You're gonna have all these other people that are going to be there. What I think is really funny is this is like 2 weeks before the big business event that they're doing, which we all know what that really is, and we can talk about that a little bit. I'm kind of glad they're announcing it early, but it's just to help sell tickets. But which I think it did sell out the arena that they're going to. But Ric Flair is going to be there. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised to see Ricky the Dragon Steamboat come out. I wouldn't be surprised to see them bring back Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard for one more night. I wouldn't be surprised if
Sorry. Go ahead. I thought that was muted. Go ahead. I was trying to look. I was looking up results. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sure. But like all of those people, I have a feeling because the Young Bucks can't just have a regular match. They've got to throw super kicks all night long, so they've got to have people to throw the super kicks at, right? So either we're going to get something like the return of Kenny Omega, who takes a super kick to the chops. We're going to get a run-in from Jericho and Sammy Guevara. I don't know, but I have a feeling this 4-man match is going to end up having like 12 run-ins. Like it's going to look like a go-home show before the Royal Rumble.
Especially Sting's last match, I wouldn't be surprised if they had anybody who's been, if they're still around.
That's what
Sting's. Yeah.
Except I don't want to see Ricky Morton and what's his face take a super kick from the Young Bucks.
Well, no, I mean no, but you could probably get a well, no, not Lex Luger. Um,
I mean, on his cart that he comes in
Sid,
on.
Sid. I think Nikita's still in pretty good shape. You know what I'm saying? Some of those guys. Um, you know, like you said, Ricky Steamboat. I wouldn't be surprised.
Tully
Arn
and Arn.
Anderson. Yeah, Tully and Arn. Bring them back out for to try to
Especially anybody that was really big WCW time. Like this, like especially, I mean, hell, if I know that WWE just did that 40 years of Hulkamania, but wouldn't it be interesting to see Hulk Hogan show up at Sting's last match, or Mick Foley show up at Sting's last match, Kevin Nash show up at Sting's last match?
I'm not even talking about them because that's not because I understand you didn't grow up watching it. I grew up watching it, so
Well,
they really
hold
weren't.
on,
They
hold on.
really weren't.
When I say Mick Foley, he was Cactus Jack going up against Sting back in the day. That was
Okay,
WCW.
okay, I got you. Yeah, but Hulk Hogan, that Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't put Hulk Hogan in that.
Hulk Hogan versus Sting at Starrcade '97, as bad as the match was built up for 2 years. Bret Hart coming out for that night because they both used the Scorpion Death Drop or the Scorpion Death Lock. Kevin
I
Nash and Sting were part of the NWO Red.
no,
Like
but that's I'm thinking like I NWA that time frame, NWA the '80s.
sure.
That's what I'm thinking.
I get what you mean,
especially
but
especially especially in Greensboro. Yeah, you don't want those New York guys there.
but
Cactus Jack, I'd give him a pass because you're right, he was there. But those other guys are New York guys. They weren't
okay,
NWA.
but hold on. Like I said, okay, I'm gonna make a strong argument for Kevin Nash here. Okay, Kevin Nash not only was part of NWO Wolfpack with Sting, who was a founding member of the Wolfpack, and they ran that place for a little while. But how long were they in TNA together?
But we're
Or
not TNA though. You know what I'm saying? I see what you're saying.
still
That's just
part of
how
his career.
but yeah, I see what you're saying. But when I think Greensboro, when I think North Carolina, when I think growing up NWA country, those guys, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, trust me, I get what you're saying, but those guys are all 80 years old. The NWA that you're talking about was
But
40 something years ago.
and Joseph brought up a good thing. So Hogan's not young too, but Hogan Hogan try to make it by himself. Nash, he's a big spotlight hog too. You fucking talking about Flair and Steamboat, they're fucking damn near 82.
So I
So
agree, but one, Steamboat can still go.
yeah.
Two, Flair thinks he can still go. You give him a little bit of that woo energy, and who knows what's going to happen with Flair.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what I want to. Like I said, the Young Bucks I think are gonna
No,
mess up.
I they're doing. I think that there's been a lot of backlash that the Young Bucks are going to be his final opponents, and they're trying to do what they. I mean, the thing has to. I know it's not sold out, but it's an 18,000 person arena. So I mean, like they were going to have trouble selling out 18,000 people anyway, because what happens in North Carolina, they hardly ever sell out, right?
But I don't for Sting's last match. I don't see how that's going to be having trouble sold out because I've talked to people
but it's not sold.
who are coming from out of state to come to
Oh
this
yeah,
thing.
but it's not sold out yet. Is my point. We're now a month away, and tickets have been on sale for 6 months. And remember, I mean, like the ticket prices went from $350 for front row to $3,000 in an hour. So I mean, like, yeah, scalpers probably bought a lot of those tickets, but they're still available to get, and there are still like $25 seats available for it. So all the 200 section is like you can get seats almost anywhere. They also announced what I guess is going to be the co-main event for that show, because they announced a 3-way dance for the world heavyweight title, and that's going to be Samoa Joe versus Hangman and Swerve.
That's bullshit too.
Why is that bullshit?
Because I think it needs to be Swerve. I trust me, I'm a Hangman fan, right? Hangman's had the title. Swerve has busted his ass. You know what I'm saying? I think he deserves a one-on-one. Let him have his one-on-one and then continue his feud with Hangman over the title if they want to do it that way. I'm not mad that Hangman's in the. I'm mad that I think Swerve deserves a one-on-one.
What's going on, Rob Paul? So yes, 100%, he deserves a one-on-one match. Now, Tony Khan, to his credit or dismay, however you want to look at it, has labeled them both as number
Number one
one on the
contender.
contenders list. And I don't know, maybe they have the same record, but I would still give Swerve the above because Swerve has beaten him like 3 times in a row. Two at two, okay.
Yes, they're going for it. I think this Wednesday is going to be they're going to fight again for it's going to be the rubber match, but it still doesn't matter because they're still. Or was it last
Well,
Tuesday?
it might be the first time Tony Khan goes with a no contest because Samoa Joe may come down and just beat down both of them. You know, and by the way, I'd be okay with a couple no contests in AEW from now. Every so often. If it doesn't happen often, it's nice to see. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, there's people have been telling me that with morale being up in AEW recently, that it also has pushed better booking, and I don't really know if that's the case. So you can tell me whether or not you think that's the case. It does seem like the match quality has stayed relatively good,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I've seen some weird booking decisions based on who gets placed in like the main event recently, like Rob Van
But
Dam versus Hook, maybe. Like, how is
no,
Rob Van Dam?
I don't think he was versus Hook. I think he fought for Hook or tagged with Hook. I don't think he fought Hook.
Well, but anyway, recently Rob Van Dam was in the main event of Dynamite. Now,
Yeah,
Rob Van Dam isn't anywhere on your rankings list of top 5. So why is he in your main event?
well, he lost. He lost, so I think
Sure,
he pushed. It was an elevator kind of thing, which he should do. You know what I'm saying? Like he did the favors. He's trying to elevate somebody. I don't agree with
sure.
it, but what I do agree with the booking wise, you're right. Tony Khan is booking like right now. Fucking who I think was very underutilized, and they weren't pushing enough. Now they're starting to push him. Fucking Daniel Garcia is amazing, and they're finally getting behind him.
So
So
So I know there's a rules committee in AEW, because they talk about how Bryan Danielson was on the rules committee when they fired CM Punk and whatever. And I have to think that Bryan Danielson is one of those people that probably goes up to Tony Khan and says, "Why aren't you using this kid?" Because he did it in WWE. He'd go up to Vince McMahon and be like, "Vince, why aren't you using Mustafa Ali? Why aren't you using Kofi Kingston? Why aren't you using these guys?" And all of a sudden you would see those guys get pushes. Drew Gulak got a huge freaking push because Bryan Danielson was like, "Why aren't you using this guy?" So I mean, I kind of think that's something that they need to do more of, and maybe people are finally getting into the ear of Tony Khan there.
yeah, he's finally stopped. He's not pushing the WWE guys as hard because he's actually putting. And I don't know if you didn't see Collision.
Well, you notice
Um,
that two of the guys in the world title match at Revolution are WWE guys.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, and Joe,
Yeah,
which is why Hangman's in that match.
so I know, and but they didn't. I don't know if I really Samoa Joe. Yes, I would consider him a WWE guy because he did have a title there. They really didn't do a whole lot with Swerve in WWE. NXT, and then they kind of put him with Hit Row, but that still didn't. They didn't really. So they're pushing him more in AEW than they did in
Well,
WWE.
100% correct. You're not wrong, but I think he would have gotten over it in WWE anyway. Joe's question in the audience was where are y'all seats at for Revolution? We are in section 123, row B, which is the second row, seats 1 and 2. Our seats now, Tino, by the way, I looked and they're about $400. So
Glad we jumped on them when we did.
well, I'm thinking if you want to sell those and just get higher up, we can still get those for like 25. But just one of the things that I was telling Tino when we first got these tickets, Joe, was that the section directly to the right of us, which is the on-camera section, 124, the same row, same 2 seats are $1,200. So we lucked out with our $105 a piece on those tickets. Anybody, anytime, just so you know, if you're going to buy AEW or even WWE tickets at this point, if you have a pre-sale code, be on there at 10 a.m. when that pre-sale goes live, and you get them for the suggested retail price, not the markup. So good question there, Joe. Anything else from AEW this week?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about Collision real quick. A couple of things on Collision. So Eddie Kingston has he pretty much came on. He cut a promo saying, you know, he was happy for the bounty hunter, was it Brian, whatever his name was, the bounty hunter. They got the new contract with AEW. He's like, Brian Daniels, and you couldn't let him, you know, you couldn't let the spotlight be on somebody else. Pretty much what he was saying. And he goes, I know you only did it to get under my skin. He says, so I challenge you for a match. They didn't say it was for his belts or not, but he said, but my stipulation is if and when I beat you, you have to shake my hand because I know you don't want to, and I know you don't respect me. So we're going to get that match at Revolution, which I'm kind of excited for. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see Eddie Kingston live because I've never seen him live, and I think that'll be a good match. And I think it'll be a good match. So that's the match I'm looking forward to at Revolution.
I think with a crowd that's probably going to be between 14 and 16,000 people, we're going to actually get to hear what the reaction actually is like for an Eddie Kingston, and I'm excited to hear that because like, you know, like I don't know if WWE would ever give him a chance on the main roster, but you know, like the NXT pay-per-view that just happened 2 weeks ago, like even at something like that, Eddie Kingston would be over like fire. You know, like it would just be crazy. I don't know if I have a TNA banner on here, but I want to talk about something real quick when it comes to TNA.
Okay, I was still in AEW.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
So it's a couple of things I wanted to point out in AEW. And all these happened on Collision. So the BCC wrestled the CMLL guys, right? That was a good match. You know, BCC won. But what I wanted to point out is Moxley got on the stick and he was talking smack. You know, we'll take on anybody, and if anybody wants to step up and see if how great you are, you can step right on up. So they're talking smack, and all of a sudden FTR's music hit, and that place exploded. FTR came and they got in the ring. Dax and Moxley were jaw jacking, and Moxley just headbutts Dax, and they go. And so Cash is kind of standing in front of Claudio, and he looks at, he goes, it's kind of like he's like, I better do something. So he just punches Claudio, and they brawled, cleared out the locker room. That is a match that I definitely want to see. That match is going to be this Wednesday on Dynamite. So are you excited to see that match? Do you think that match will be good?
FTR
Claudio
and Moxley?
Yeah, that's going to be a slobber knocker.
Yes.
As JR would say.
And you know what? It might actually be a all fists, no flips match. Like they might not even kick each other in this match. This might just be like who's going to get busted open and lose so much blood that they can't get up off the mat. And it, you know, in Greensboro, that's the kind of match that you expect to have on the card. That's why
I don't think that's going to be in Greensboro. That's going to be this Wednesday on
Dynamite. They're not going to hold that like that. That sounds like something I would hold off. But
Right?
but I was just thinking that in Greensboro, North Carolina, a good team to bring out to help Sting and Darby would be FTR.
FTR, because they've got that
Yeah.
old that WCW music kind
Well,
of
but
thing
where are they
going.
from?
Oh, they're from Asheville. They're from right there in North Carolina. That, and they remind you of the of Tully and Arn. They remind you of those four horsemen kind of go out there and get it.
Though in the same way, I could actually see the Hardys come out and help the Young Bucks. I know, right? Nobody needs to help the Young Bucks. Just let them super kick till they run out of gas.
Yeah. So another match I wanted to point out, and that was way better than I thought it would be good, but it was way better than I thought it would be, was Daniel Garcia against Shane Taylor. So you would think that, and
That big boy.
yeah, they sold well for each other. But I was watching this match and I was thinking about you, because while Daniel is obviously smaller than Shane, selling made sense. Does that make sense?
I'll have to watch the match,
It
and
made
at this point we're already in another week of wrestling, so I don't know if I'll find time to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah, but it made sense, and he didn't, and Daniel won, but he won by submission, and he won because he worked on Shane Taylor's knee and his leg, and he worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and he won with a submission on that leg, made Shane tap out. It made perfect sense. That match made sense, and it was a good match.
So Shane Taylor is, I mean, he's got what, 15 years in the industry?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not a young lion or anything. So I would say that's probably why that's where that match went. And if it was on Collision, remember Brian Danielson has a lot of say in what goes on in like how those matches are actually like structured. So he might have said, hey, Tony Khan goes, okay, Daniel Garcia goes over in this match, and Brian Danielson probably said, hey, do it by submission and have him work the leg, because a big guy who you knock down one of the trees can't hold himself up. And that's
Right.
that's a good way to look at it. That's how I would have probably like recommended, if you're gonna have Daniel Garcia go over, you either make it a quick flip pin and you go and you have him just sit there and get out of the ring, and he's like, but he's not that character anymore, right? Like he's not
Yeah.
that early in his AEW career where you expect those kinds of wins. Now you're expecting him, because everyone says this kid's got it. You expect him to sit there and actually like Rey Mysterio his wins against bigger guys. Now, what has Chris Jericho always said? Besides, let me get this young lady in my hotel room. What is Chris Jericho? I'm sorry, we can cut that out in post, right? But what has he always said about like finishing moves? Finishing moves need to be moves that can be done against anybody to be an effective finishing move, right? That's why the code breaker works. That's why the walls of Jericho doesn't always work, but he has put it on bigger guys, and when the bigger guy's worn down, he wins with that move, right? Same kind of thing. So I'm totally the fact that you said he wore him down, I'm totally fine with that.
Next, so this next part to make sense, you got to remember that I think it was last week, FTR and Garcia went against the patriarchy, right? They went against Christian,
Who was this
and
that
the
did
other
this?
two. The FTR and Daniel Garcia went against the patriarchy, which was Christian.
Garcia wrestled twice?
No. This was last week, but because for this week, for this episode to make sense what I'm about to tell you, you have to remember the week before this happened. So not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, FTR and Garcia fought the Patriots, the whatever Christian Cage, because at the end of that match, Garcia had a stare down because they won. Garcia's team won, and he had a stare down with Christian Cage. Okay, remember that. Adam Copeland comes out next on this
Collision.
past Collision to do a promo, and he was talking about how before he says anything, he was telling the Young Bucks what they did to Sting was wrong, and da 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 da. And 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 so told them off. But then he went on saying how he wants to fight Christian for the belt, and he's going to fight him for the belt. He's been working his way back up, and he's next in line. Garcia's music hit. So Garcia comes out, and it wasn't be a heel. He was just face up man to man. He said, "Hey, I beat him last week. I think that I should be in line for a title shot too. He wasn't coming to talk smack. He was just stating fact. I beat him last week. I think I deserve a title shot too. You had your title shot. I think that I need. It's my turn." And Adam's like, okay. He said, "I'll tell you what I'll do." He said, "I'll tell you what we do." He said, "We'll have a match on Dynamite between the two of us, and whoever wins gets that next title shot." And so Garcia agrees. He goes, "Okay, that's good. I agree." They shake hands, and he did the whole Garcia turns to walk, and Adam holds on to the hand and pulls him back. He said, "The only reason that I'm not kicking your ass right now is because I know you had a grueling match." And he said, "The only reason I'm not kicking your teeth down your throat right now is because you had a grueling match." He said, "But next Wednesday on Dynamite, I'm beating your ass." And then he walked out the ring. So he says these things almost heelish. You know what I'm saying? So is he heelish, or is he just convicted? He's determined to get back to where he was. And I know you didn't watch it, but from that, what would you think?
So the way I would,
He said, okay, I'm sorry. Before he said that, he said, "You're threatening to take food off my family's table. So I'm going to beat your ass next week." So I can see where he's kind of,
well,
it
wait,
sounds heelish.
isn't isn't Edge trying to take food off of Daniel Garcia's table?
Well, but he's trying to say because Garcia's trying to cut him. He said, "This is what I do." He said, "You're trying to
But he's not
take
cutting
food off."
him. Garcia's
Well,
right. Like Edge lost that match already. And here's what I would have said. If I was Garcia, I'd have been like, oh, you like that opportunity, you like that option. Well, you actually should be behind me already in line for this. So here's the deal. Instead of whoever wins gets that match, how about I already have that match, and if you beat me, we make it a three-way dance at Revolution. That's what I would have said. And I think that makes more sense because that means Garcia's already in that match. And then Garcia can lose to Edge, to Adam Copeland to make it a
hmm
three dance at Revolution, which I would be excited about because it's two old guys who probably do need that younger dude in there to sit there. I was going to say young buck, but I really didn't want to use that term.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, one of the younger guys to sit there and just keep that match going constantly and really show that, hey, I can go with the best in the business because right now, like Samoa Joe and Christian Cage are the best two in AEW, bar none. And then Adam Copeland obviously hasn't really missed a step since he got there, but he immediately put himself in position to lose matches. Which I guess is okay because like Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson came into AEW and they both went like 12-0, and it was like, when's one of these motherfuckers going to lose a match?
Yeah, yeah,
And then I think they finally put them against each other, and their match against each other was like an Iron Man match that like went the distance or whatever. So nobody won the match. No, that was Hangman who hadn't lost a match when he won the title.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I don't necessarily like that booking decision because I think Daniel Garcia's right. Like, get back in line. You lost twice. Yeah, you had one win in the middle there, but you still lost twice to him. Like it's you like I don't know why the older guy thinks that he just gets to jump in front when the way the booking was done from Tony Khan made it so Daniel Garcia's next in line.
Yep.
Now, granted, they could totally swerve me on this by having the patriarchy come down and cost Adam Copeland the match because they think that Daniel Garcia is an easier opponent. But that makes Daniel Garcia look weak going into the
Weak. Yeah,
against Christian.
I don't want to do that.
Well, they
So,
want to make whoever goes into that match look as strong as possible because it's going to be 3-on-1.
so then you got I thought it was a good match. Brody King and Mark Briscoe, and to say it like that, you would think it would be um like what the fuck's this match? You know when Booker T said you just got just meat slapping. You get just two big
Me
guys just
slapping
coming
me.
in. So they beat the fuck out of each other. Now, of course, Brody went over. I think because they're trying to finish the story that it's going to be Mark Briscoe. I think against the House of Black, and right now we're waiting to see who's going to join him because at the end of that match, Mark Briscoe lost. The referee was checking on him. Julia Hart came up and with a spike. It looked like a knitting needle, a spike, and she punctured in his forehead right here. Why are you calling me?
I hit the wrong button, and I also hit the
So,
hang button.
well, no, because some of this is setting up some stuff. So I'm not going to do everything. I'm just going to give you a rundown of what I like. And she stabbed him in the head. He busted open. So I think that's going to further that one. And then the main event was Orange Cassidy and Ishii.
Why the hell is Ishii in a main event match?
Because Orange Cassidy doesn't back down from anybody.
Yeah, but with his title where it is, put him in the mid card. It sounds like these other matches deserve more. Like Ishii isn't even an AEW employee. Like, why are you giving main event matches to New Japan guys? You didn't have
That's what
you
they're
didn't
doing
have to message me
because
back.
oh yes I do because you made me mad. So this is um hold on.
Orange Cassidy versus Ishii, hard hitting
So that
matchup.
was that was a good match. And at the end of the match, of course, you knew that the Kingdom were going to come down, and they did. Um, Orange Cassidy won the match. Ishii got out of the match, and he was stumbling back up the ramp. Uh, the Kingdom hit the ring to attack him, and Ishii comes back down. So I don't know if they're going to probably. We all know that Roderick's going to be facing Orange for the title at the big pay-per-view. But I think till we get there, I'm wondering if they're going to interchange different things because I'm almost wondering if they're going to put the ROH championships on the best friends. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if they're going to swap. So if I see Roderick winning, so he'll
But you
probably
but
win that
but
belt.
you see
But
Chuck Taylor and yeah, Trent Beretta winning. I can
so I
see
wonder
that.
if they swap. So
I,
that was
I,
it.
all right.
That's AEW. So what you got for TNA? You said you
Scott
had
D'Amore
TNA.
got fired.
Oh yeah, I mean, but
What? Well, no, hold on. Everybody's been talking about how good TNA has been recently. You talk about it all the time, like when we're not
I
on
don't
the
know.
air.
But I didn't know. I didn't realize he was really. I thought he was just like he had the figurehead on TV. I didn't realize he was really in charge of shit.
Yeah, but now he's not even a figurehead on TV. He's fired.
Well, see, because he was supposed to be the president on TV because they had Santino's the new deputy, so he's the one like booking the matches. So he's like the general manager booking matches. And I think they had Scott D'Amore as kind of the upper figurehead on the show. But yeah, you're right. And from what I read, I think the thing you sent me is like now they've got some dude who knows nothing about wrestling running this company. Kind of sounds familiar. Kind of sounds like WCW after
Well,
everything went.
I mean, Eric Bischoff learned the industry, and I'm not saying he always did it well, but like he beat the WWE for 83 weeks.
I'm not even talking about Bischoff. I'm talking about the people who bought the people
Oh, the
above
people that
Bischoff.
Bischoff,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I kind of. I mean, I don't know. The guy obviously has been in charge of Anthem Sports for forever, so it's possible that that he that he's been watching the product at least, you know. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I said, it's pretty crazy when you think about how much they had been, how well they had been doing. The people that they've been bringing in, they brought in Naomi when she left WWE. They obviously have Jordan Grace as their women's world champion right now. They brought in Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth just recently. You know, like these are big names.
And
And Mustafa Ali, yeah. So I mean, you're bringing in these big names, and apparently the two biggest issues that Anthem had with Scott D'Amore was that he kept complaining about his minuscule budget, which you're only putting 500 people in seats. I don't know what you're charging for them, but you probably don't have enough to go paying 250 grand a year for certain wrestlers, you know, and that's what Tony Khan's paying people. That's what Triple H is paying people. So like, I don't know what he was expecting to do, except maybe do like, hey, we'll do a 1 month contract with Dolph Ziggler, and when we do that, we'll get 8 appearances out of him because we record so many episodes at a time, you know, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know if that's what they're doing, but I can't see them getting to a point where and unless Scott D'Amore was making so much money that they're like, well, we'll just put that into the budget now. Like, because it's the same guy that runs Anthem now running TNA. So unfortunately for anybody that's liked the way the TNA product had been going, we're going to notice a swing pretty soon. Now, the interesting thing there, going back to the AEW talk, is that a lot of people online have been talking, like Eric Bischoff, for example, has been talking about how Tony Khan should hire Scott D'Amore to book Ring of Honor. And it's not a bad idea because Tony Khan already working on Rampage, Collision, and Dynamite. Like, if he had someone else actually doing some of the other work, he might be able to breathe. So, and if not, Scott D'Amore's going to end up as a road agent or something in WWE, just like Jeremy Borash did.
Yeah,
because Triple H has his ear on, you know, he's got his hand on the pulse of pro wrestling, unlike Vince, who just thought he knew everything already about wrestling.
But I think Tony Khan already has people there who have a good mind for the business. He's got a Daniel Bryan, he's got a Sting, he's got a, you know what I mean?
So one of the things Mark Henry recently said was that a lot of the young guys in AEW don't ever ask for advice. And that means that those guys like Bryan Danielson, Mark Henry, Big Show, Chris Jericho, they're not being asked, hey, what would you have changed in my match to make it better? Like, I didn't quite hear that pop this time. Like, what could I do? Because they don't want to hear, slow it the fuck down. They don't want to hear that. You know, so a lot of them just don't go to them and ask them. Like, even, you know, like if Keith Lee were to sit there and go up to Mark Henry or the Big Show and say, hey, and I know Keith Lee's been out with his injury, but if he were to go up to them and say, what should I be doing better? The first thing they'd say is not selling for those little sons of bitches.
Don't get me started, dude. We're going to be a whole another 30 minutes. You're going to piss me off. I'm going to cuss you out. You know I don't like that one.
But you know, I'm giving you a prime example, a big guy going up to a big guy and asking, what should I do to get over better? And you know, like, there's certain people you should be selling to, but Steve Austin would give the Big Show 3 stunners before he was able to pin him. You know, it's just the way it is. So anyways, the Scott D'Amore thing, he's too good of a talent to not want to put somewhere. But like, WWE's full on their management side. They were laying people off. What's that?
Yeah, they don't need anybody over there.
You know, so I mean, like, and he's from Canada, so I don't see him going to New Japan. I mean, maybe, but I really don't see that. So the only other thing, you know, like, if he has this big budget banking company that was trying to buy TNA, then the only other thing I can think there is maybe he starts his own wrestling company. But what talent's out there right now?
Everybody's getting snatched up.
Maybe Billy Corgan actually sits there and asks him to come into the NWA. That'd be another good move.
Yeah, but they did damage to themselves. I don't know how they come back from that.
Well, they've got the app thing going now.
Yeah, but they fucked up. fucked up. They almost had TV, and they fucked up.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know if they were ever going to get TV because they do still have a deal with CW because they started on their app this week.
Hmm.
So I don't know if they were, and NWA, by the way, if you didn't see it, EC3 maintained the World Heavyweights Championship, and I did say Heavyweights Championship because that's how they actually say it in that one.
They do.
Against Matt Cardona, in a something.
Oh, radio, tell me everything you know. Sorry.
Okay. So that's all I wanted to say about the indie circuit this week.
I heard some talk. I heard some talk, dude, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. There was somebody. Was it Jim? Was it Russo that said that they thought that Triple H would be out of WWE in 2024, or 2025, following the whole, because he's one of Vince's guys. So they're saying all of Vince's people are going to be out, and I think you even mentioned it because he's married to Stephanie. So what do you think?
Don't fuck with a good thing. Right now, WWE is doing big business, and it's because he's in charge of creative, and he's in charge of talent. It just doesn't make sense to get rid of him. Now, if you go a quarter and all of a sudden you're not seeing those big returns anymore, maybe you sit there and you go, okay, but right now I don't see it. I think Paul is a smart enough guy to where he's sitting there saying all the right things and remember who brought Nick Khan into the company. It wasn't Vince. It was Triple H. Triple H set up the meeting. Triple H made sure that Nick Khan was in the same city as Vince at a certain time, and Nick Khan got in there. So I'm going to say that because Triple H was brought back to be chief content officer back when Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon became the co-CEOs, I think he's more of a Nick Khan guy at this point than he is necessarily a Vince McMahon guy. Now, granted, he is the son-in-law of Vince McMahon, and that's never going to go away unless the two of them get divorced. And even then, it's still going to be the former son-in-law of Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
In fact, this weekend was the first public appearance by Stephanie McMahon since she left the company. So pretty surprising that happened this weekend. But
what was she doing?
There was an Instagram post that they were going to something that was for like Wounded Warriors or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Heartfelt, warm type atmosphere thing. But so that the only thing I think that could actually cause an issue is, and I'm going to put this up even though we haven't talked about Monday Night Raw from last week because obviously we do our show on Mondays now. But the only thing I think that can get in the way is the power that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has with the company now. He can literally interject himself into any conversation when it comes to TKO that he wants to. And, good for him to be able to do it. At the same time, I think he also does realize Triple H is good for business right now. I don't think that anything the two of them said to each other wasn't pre-planned. I don't think that anything that the two of them said to each other, like that backstage segment between The Rock and him. I don't think what's going on, Mr. Helios. I don't think any of that was talked about or not talked about. So I think that everything right now is going the way it's supposed to be, right?
Well, I think too, because somebody, and I was watching a TikTok that I sent you the guy. I like watching him. He was like, a lot of people got excited because of that whole, like you were talking about, the whole interaction they had Friday night, behind the scenes where it was after the press conference when he came out cussing at him like da 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 da, and everybody's getting excited. Oh, we're gonna get the Rock triple. No, we're not, because Triple H still has that defibrillator inside his heart. He's not gonna be able. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, could it be where they had like the battle? Could it be like the Battle of the Billionaires? You remember that when the people were fighting for him, so he could have somebody fight The Rock, or The Rock could pick somebody, Triple H could pick somebody, but you're not going to get The Rock and Triple H. Which then why even? I guess my question: why even do that? Have that exchange? Is
Well,
that to
because it
for him
shows
to flex his muscle?
it shows the company power struggle. It showed like it shows specifically that right now, and this obviously is us not watching Monday Night Raw tonight, so we don't know what's going on. And I'm trying not to look at Bleacher Report while we're on here. It shows that right now you specifically have Cody, Triple H, and Seth Rollins on one side of the company, and you literally have Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, and The Rock on the other side of the company. So you have the power struggle of the bloodline versus the WWE, and
And
I
I think they hinted at that this past Friday on SmackDown when Heyman came in and goes, "I'll be back next week, but when I come back, I'll be with my tribal chief and The Rock." And Triple H said, "And I'll be here waiting." So I think you're right. I think that's going to be that power
well,
struggle, but it's going to be on SmackDown.
and I thought that the press conference was a waste of time. It just basically became three guys cutting promos. Seth looked completely out of place, although he did look like he was ready to host a game show, wearing his wife's shirt, apparently.
That was
Yeah,
funny.
I know you're gonna say it. So I really don't have anything I need to say from Raw last week, except Drew McIntyre is poising himself to be the guy to go to WrestleMania. I'm gonna put the banners up now. So I think it's great that they're utilizing Drew. I think he signed to a contract already, and they're just not giving out the terms, and they're not saying that he is. I think the same thing with LA Knight. I don't think that you'd be pushing these two guys. I mean, sometimes you can't help but push those guys because they're doing the job of someone who deserves to be pushed. But like I posted in our Facebook group today that LA Knight right now, the last time I heard anything about a contract extension for him was September of last year, and all I kept hearing was this contract ended either in mid to late 2024 or early 2025. And then I saw something that said he supposedly signed until 2028 now, but nothing confirms that. And Drew McIntyre, obviously we don't know why they would. The DM Hunk thing I thought was actually a little bit funny. I thought it was clever. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was clever, but with him, like, you're planning a future match between him and CM Punk for when CM Punk comes back from injury, and Drew might not even be there if he's not under contract. So I struggle with that one. I couldn't tell if you froze or not. You you literally stopped moving for a second. So I want to point out something that I don't like, and we've hinted on it a little bit when I've talked about him being in main event matches and losing already. Sami Zayn is currently on an 11-match losing streak in singles competition. 11-match losing streak. In that 11 matches, I think he's been in the main event like 6 times. Otherwise, I think he's opened the show. So they're putting him in a prime spot, but he keeps losing. This guy was so hot last year that you could have given him the world title, and everybody would have been like, great run, Roman. Now it's time for Sammy. Let's see how long he can go with this thing. And we would have been fine with it. We all would have been humming his theme, singing his theme song. Oh, whoa, whoa. Like we all would have been doing that all the way to right now. If they wanted him to hold that title from WrestleMania last year to WrestleMania this year, or Elimination Chamber last year to WrestleMania this year, we would have been able to do that. And yet, for whatever reason, he's on a massive losing streak right now. Now, do you think that that's a planned thing?
I think it's a setup for a comeback.
Comeback or heel turn?
Probably both. that heel turn, but it'll turn into a comeback as well.
I don't need to see Sammy as a heel again. Like he did that for the Vince McMahon time, and everybody knows that you want to cheer him. He's too good, even when he's a bad guy. That's why we
Yeah,
cheer
that's
him with the bloodline.
so they probably won't turn him heel, but I think that they'll. Just while he's on a losing streak, I think it's planned. I think it's carefully orchestrated. I don't know what for yet, but
I
I
wonder
think
if his
that
contract's almost up.
I think they might have something big for him planned.
Well, there's a lot of talk that it might lead to him going through this long losing streak and then possibly winning like Money in the Bank and becoming world champion. Um, and I guess I'd be okay with that because it would kind of come out of left field if he's going to have this long losing streak. But at the same time, like, we like him. We want him to win. Did you see what happened when SmackDown went off the air this week? I know I'm bouncing around, but that's because you want to be out of here in an hour and a half. So
What happened? I was going to talk about the first. I want to ask you about. Remember we talked about, and then I'll answer that. But the big thing I want to ask you about is the Bailey thing when Dakota finally came back. Remember, because you were asking where she was, and we were wondering if she's going to turn. When she had her, so when the EO and everybody came out and they were going to jump her, Dakota ducked out of the ring, came back with a chair, and when Bailey had her back to her for that moment, it looked like Dakota had that face like she's going to smack her, but then she went after the other girls. What do you think? You think that's going to be a swerve, a setup to try to sway Bailey to thinking that she's on her side and she's going to turn on her?
it right now it looks like they're doing a 2 against 3. I do think that she's going to rejoin Damage Control just when you least expect it. Like I could see Bailey losing at WrestleMania because Dakota Kai on her.
I don't see Bailey losing at Mania.
You know what? At some point, you can't have every championship change hands, right? So, and it would actually be a good return type thing for Dakota Kai because it puts her in an immediate feud with Bailey. You know, because you got to be thinking that okay, Charlotte went down in what, October? They said 9 months, so I mean, you're talking June-ish return for her. You obviously have all the young talent coming up, like Tiffany Stratton, who's now on SmackDown. Naomi's back on SmackDown. So I mean, like the rebooting of feuds after WrestleMania, I think Triple H is really going to try to bring that back. You might get them through like Backlash or whatever, but I do think that you're going to start seeing rebooting of feuds like they used to do, starting the week after WrestleMania going forward.
Okay.
I don't know. It could go either way with that one, and I like that because it means I'm not sure, which means I'm okay with whichever direction it goes as long as it goes well. You know, Dakota Kai, she's injury prone at this point, kind of like Tegan Knox. You don't necessarily want her in anything more than tag team matches so that way you're not putting as much stress on those knees. So, I mean, they might keep her with Bailey. And the only reason why I would say you double cross Bailey and you put her back in Damage Control is because you probably want to have an English speaking person in that group. You know, like I'm not saying it's impossible to get Japanese stars over in the WWE not speaking English. Obviously, they've done a really good job with Shinsuke Nakamura's promos and everything, but they're kind of cheating those promos by having them all be off camera. You know, like they're all backstage promos and vignettes.
And like I said last week, you don't want to do the same thing. You know,
yeah, you don't want to like every Japanese. Then they're typecast, and it's almost like a racist statement at that point.
Yeah.
If that's the only way that they do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why I kind of would say that you want to still have a mouthpiece. And if Dakota Kai's not going to wrestle as often, and she's only going to wrestle a special thing, then making her the mouthpiece, kind of like MVP, is kind of a good idea.
So what are you about to say about the end of the Raw? What were you asking me?
SmackDown. After SmackDown went off the air because it was in Charlotte, North Carolina, Gunther came out and beat whoever he was facing in his match, which I thought was interesting because he's obviously a Raw guy, so coming out and being in a match on SmackDown was kind of weird. But and it wasn't a elimination chamber match, so that's why it was kind of weird to me. but they had R-Truth come out and actually not and take down Gunther to finish the night. So it's almost like when we saw Adam Cole take everybody's finisher at the NXT show at the Durham Armory that one time, because they were literally sending everybody home happy. Because if you noticed, when R-Truth was backstage talking to Kevin Owens saying, Miz, you're supposed to be on Raw. Don't let Adam see you. And he's like, do you mean Nick? And he's like, Nick Mysterio? Or don't let Nick see you. And he goes, Nick Mysterio? And he goes, no, Nick Aldis. Like the whole crowd was going, we want truth. And they gave them to him at the end of the night, but like you only saw him in a backstage segment with Kevin Owens.
Which was still hilarious.
Always. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Otherwise, like I said, of note, I mean, NXT, we're finally getting the Carmelo coming out and telling everybody that he's the one that did the truth or to not truth, but Trick. Yeah, to Trick. Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin as a tag team for some reason works really well for me. By the time Braun Breaker fully comes up to the main roster, the Wolf Dogs, by the time he finally comes up to the main roster, he will have gone from being a dominant babyface that didn't talk very much to a dominant heel that talked more than he should to being a comedy tag team act. And yet when he finally makes it up to the main roster, I'm still thinking they're going to push him to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
But it's really because they have given him all of the tools to be successful in whatever kind of run they need to give him.
Yep.
Whoever gave us the thumbs up, I appreciate it. Thank you. Other than that, I mean, Triple H came out, after the WrestleMania kickoff show on Thursday. Triple H opened up Monday or Friday Night SmackDown and pretty much said, it doesn't matter that you're on the board of directors. There's only one guy that gets to make the rules here, so know your role, and that guy is me. And the crowd erupted for it, which means obviously Triple H is the babyface corporate guy right now, which is weird.
Yeah.
The thing I find the most weird about all of this, Tino, is that almost 30 years ago, these two guys were fighting each other for the Intercontinental title.
That's amazing, dude. It does not seem like that long ago, man.
But not only was it almost 30 years ago that they did that, now they're running the damn company.
That's cool.
And not just on camera. They're running the fucking company.
That's cool.
It's crazy. And talking about The Rock real quick, people are saying that his movie career is a little bit in a lull right now. And they're saying
he looks like an alien.
His head is doing like a weird, like a weird concave thing right in this, like maybe
he looks weird. He's like an alien. I'm like, I'm looking at him like, oh no.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, I thought, last night at the Super Bowl, I thought Usher was going to melt. Like that dude had so much sweat pouring off of him. I thought he was going to melt right there.
Oh, dude, he performed his ass off. It was a good show.
Dude, he single-handedly, here comes the dad joke. He single-handedly ushered in a new round of skate rinks. Like, skate rinks are back, baby. Like, they're going to get at least a good year of business out of that.
That wasn't funny last night when you posted it wherever you posted it.
A lot of people laughed at it.
Because I saw that.
Anyway,
a lot of people, I think they might have felt sorry for you, but
well, I mean, maybe it's a COVID dad joke. I don't even know, but yeah, the whole those two guys running the damn company is insane to me. And like when you see Triple H come out and he's got Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce with him, it's like, do we even want to hear those two guys speak at that point? And their announcement was cool. Like 3 matches that are going to determine or 6 matches that are going to determine the six guys in the elimination chamber. Like Miz versus Logan Paul, I think is a fun match. Kevin Owens versus Dominic Mysterio is going to be a fun match. Big Bronson Reed faces who?
Bobby Lashley, the Almighty.
So the one person missing from this that I was kind of surprised by was Gunther. Like I kind of expected Gunther to be in this because I kind of expected him because with what they said between him and Seth that they were going to kind of lean to something there.
I think they're pushing. I think Drew's coming out of that chamber to face Seth.
I'm beginning to think so too, but I want to now talk to you. Did you have anything else about Raw, SmackDown, or NXT? Okay.
No.
I don't even want to talk about Elimination Chamber. I want to talk about a possibility of the Night 1 and Night 2 main events at WrestleMania. Did you see the WWE Super Bowl promo? The 35-second video that they did? It showed The Rock and Roman walking up, and you saw Seth and Cody walk up, and then they just had like a stare down. I'm kind of thinking at this point, our Night 1 main event of WrestleMania is going to be Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. And our Night 2 main event is going to be Roman and Cody. And I think it's because they're going to be trying to protect The Rock and they're going to be trying to protect Seth. Now, at the same time,
why are we protecting The Rock? I understand Seth because he's hurt still, but why The Rock?
The Rock hasn't wrestled in 7 years, 10 years. So
we're just not going to get The Rock and Roman? I was thinking maybe the Rock and Roman one night and then Cody and Roman.
I mean, that could always play out. But I think they're going to do the tag match. I think that's why Seth was on that stage. I think that's the only thing that you can plan there at that point. Like, why else have Seth even on that stage?
So then do you have the Rock and Roman go over? Because we know Cody will probably go over at Mania.
I actually think that what you have happen there, you still want, I mean, yeah, I could see them getting the win because Seth and Cody still don't get along. But I almost see the Rock and Roman not getting along so much that like one of them keeps trying to get the pin and the other one pulls them off because like I'm the tribal chief. No, I'm the people's champ. No, I'm the tribal chief. And that starts the shoving match between the two of them after they lose the match, and that kind of starts leading to like SummerSlam or next year's Mania. I don't even know. Because remember, The Rock keeps saying, I'm playing the long game when it comes to me and Roman. So,
sure.
And I could see him coming out the following week on SmackDown and, if you smell, then he comes out and he's like, bring that jabroni out here right now. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. And then Roman no-shows. And then like Roman shows up the next week and The Rock no shows and they kind of play that off for a while because they're both part-timers. But at that point you wouldn't have to worry about Roman showing up every week anyway because he doesn't have the title anymore either. If they did, Roman loses twice in nights. So I don't know. It's like and Triple H said yesterday when they posted that promo, he basically said we're gonna just blow it out this year with WrestleMania. So they're trying to make it the biggest WrestleMania ever, and it kind of makes me think that Night 1 you're gonna have that as the main event. Night 2 you're gonna have Seth and his opponent as the opening match, and then you're gonna have Cody and Roman close the show.
Okay. I see
now,
it.
And Elimination Chamber is next weekend, right? Not this weekend. Yeah, because they still got a whole nother round of the matches to do to determine.
Of course, it's when I'm in Hickory.
Oh. Well, at least next week we'll be able to give our predictions for what's already been.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing about moving the show to Monday nights is it means that we're not really close to the final card necessarily.
True that.
So, Tino, last thing I always want to ask you is what shows are you watching?
I am watching. So, like I said, I'm still binge watching. Well, I've been binge watching SWAT, but now that my shows are coming back, my NCIS is. I've got this new show that you were talking about. I want to check out this tracker show. Um, I'm kind of. I went back and watched the. I think that was the last episode of the season 4. Um, Found. I think that was the season finale.
It
I don't.
was. It was. But The Irrational came back.
Oh,
Quantum Leap
dude,
came back.
I love that. I love that show. Quantum Leap, though. That I was watching that, and you really think that the chick's gonna be? It's just funny to me how I know you because I recognize you by your eyes, and she remembers him,
Well, now
and then
he just walks up and tells her, which is even better. It's like Hannah,
yeah.
it's me. And
Well, he didn't this week. He didn't. He was trying to because or you're a married woman. You're a married woman, and then dude's like, you're telling about your trip in Cairo, and she was like, who?
well, you knew something was gonna drop. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I found this new show on, and it's not even a new show. It's in season 2 now on Max that I watched the entire thing of while I've had COVID, and it's called Tokyo Vice,
Hmm.
and it's based on a true story of the first American who went to Japan to be a uh, 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 crime writer for the newspaper, and like everybody calls him Gaijin and everything. What's really cool about it is, like I said, it's based on a true story. So it's got all this yakuza stuff going on in it. It's got like corrupt cops in it, and it's got this white dude in a Japanese world. So I mean, he's the one getting all the racism against him, you know. And then there's also like a white girl who also gets hit with the racism all the time from everything. But like I said, I'm all the way caught up now. So season 2, episode 2 or 3 happened already. But the thing I don't like about it is that it's all subtitled. So like,
Yeah, I hate that.
well, when so they'll speak English to him, right? So everybody speak like they'll be like, I feel comfortable speaking English to you, and he's like, oh, okay, well that makes it a lot easier. So all those parts are in English, but sometimes even when you hear the Japanese guy speaking English, they put the subtitles on it because you can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
but but it's really cool watching like this one young guy come up through the yakuza, and he's actually kind of friendly with the American, and the American is sitting there like writing for the newspaper, and he's like, hey, if you give me stories, like I might be able to, make you guys look good for your part of the yakuza kind of thing, like so like it's favor for favor for everything, and it's pretty interesting. I watched one behind the scenes thing with it real quick. That was like, they talked about how like originally the writer and producer of the show, who's using the guy who actually wrote the book, who was the crime writer in Japan. They're using like he's being used as like a consultant on the show. He was like, yeah, we threatened a guy who's sitting at like the witness desk, like talking to the police officer and not saying anything because it's yakuza. And he's like, so like the writer is sitting there saying, well, the way that we should write this is like, we'll tell him that he'll get ass raped in prison when we send him to prison. And the guy who was in Japan for all those years is like, no, it doesn't work that way in Japan. Like it's not like Law and Order or something where it's like SVU and that type of thing happens to some of the bad guys at SVU. And he says, okay, well then what would you do? And he goes, well, what they would do in Japan is they would literally let that guy for the yakuza go, and they'd be like, all right, well, you're free to go. And he'd be like, wait, already? And it's like, yeah, we got nothing to hold you on. Get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Yakuza guy's like, no, you need to hold me for like another 2 hours because otherwise you're going to think I cut a deal. And it's like, not my problem. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, I'm ready to talk. So it's really cool to see like that, like, and watching the behind the scenes stuff on it made it even more interesting to see that that's one of those things that they actually do in that show. Otherwise, I got nothing. So why don't
do yours because I always get fucked up. So good night, everybody.
Well, most of mine are down on the bottom of the screen already, but I'm also on X or Twitter at Potcheck and Instagram at Rob Potcheck and Rob Potsy Potcheck. But if you haven't already subscribed to the show, that's youtube.com/Rob Potcheck, twitch.com/Rob Potsy Potcheck, or Facebook. You can find us on the Potsy and Tino show. So, Tino, it is all yours.
I am on X, which is Twitter at HoodieFan91. I am on the Instagram at SCTino. I am on TikTok. Check out my band's TikTok. We're on Tino Gray Music. We are the Social Casualties. We're putting up videos on that. You can also find us on Facebook at Tino Gray and the Social Casualties. Also, that's about it. That's where I am. We're here each and every week on the Pots and Pan Network, the Potsy and Tino show. I want to say thank you to Adams House Cats for our theme song, which is a wrestling song. You can get it on iTunes for 99 cents 99.
Please give the show a thumbs up.
Like and buy our shit.
There it is.
And that's it.
And you know, I missed my TikTok. My TikTok is Rob Potcheck as well. So, folks, thank you so much for being here. We'll give you the little red heart. Boom. And we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
It worked earlier.